So good morning, everyone. It's January, our first Launch Partners call for the year. And excited to be with you all and glad to see more people joining in. This call is being recorded. I'd encourage you to share this with your teammates because what Mike and I have to share with you today is a restructuring and a reformatting of how we want to lead the business moving forwards in 2019. The Launch Partners, as we reflect on how it performed last year, had some great highlights, but it was also an opportunity for us to review ways that we can improve and do things better. I want to highlight, as we share with you today, what the structure and format will look like. Our agenda is not to burden you with a ridiculous amount of calls. Okay, we want to make sure that we get the balance right in providing coaching, training, mentoring, and of course, business building activities. Someone once said in one of the calls last year, with all the calls that I'm attending and participating in, I don't get a chance to do all the homework. And it's like, forget the homework, get the job done. We want to build a business. Yeah, this isn't school anymore. So we want, what we've got today, I think is something very, very exciting. We are keeping it deliberately simple, and the objective is going to be really straightforward. We've got a couple of structures, I guess, that Mike is going to walk us through in just a minute of different types of calls for different reasons. But first and foremost, what we're doing is we're helping to explain two fundamental principles. One, there is a lot of online prospecting and business building activity that takes place. We want to respect that and provide a vehicle for mass communication. Okay, in regards to prospects coming on and having an opportunity to hear a message, to be uplifted for mass training and support. At the same time, it's been our experience that when we try to mentor, when anyone, it's not just our experience, mentoring in general, when people try to mentor and coach someone else, if they aren't actually building the business, but they're tagging into a mentoring focused process, that process is redundant. And what happens is the mentor takes an unnecessary charge or lead in that experience. Mentoring should be steered by the mentee based on the needs that they have that are emerging as a consequence of real-time business building challenges. So we want to address both real-time business building challenges for people that are engaged in building the business and online communication and support for the masses that can plug in and connect. And hopefully we can get one group to feed into the other so that we get a continual replenishment of new people coming in as mentees, being coached and trained in their business building, rank advancing, business developing experience. So with that being said, I'd like to pass the time over to you now, Mike, if you want to unmute your line. Mike's going to share with us the call schedule and how it works in the business building process. And you'll see that it dovetails really nicely into a business development strategy for building the business from the ground up, from someone brand new to building up through the ranks. So Mike, over to you.
Ben, would you give me permission for sharing, please?
Oh, sure, of course.
Okay, excellent. Hopefully, are you able to see this?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, first of all, welcome back, everybody, to a new year. We're excited about this new year. Obviously, this year started with a, let me just see, I've got a note here, because annotation is disabled. Okay, never mind that. We've got a new announcements and lots of things to look forward to with respect to the direction that Nikan is heading in. I think we're all very excited about the fact that Luis has been given the opportunity to steer the ship, so to speak, with respect to marketing, which is primarily, I guess, marketing and messaging is primarily the president's job. Of course, we could ask Ben, since that was at one point your role. So and we're all very confident in him. I'm just looking to see if I can actually give some controls here. No, okay, never mind that. Can you all see my cursor on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. What we were looking at in review of our progress with respect to launch partners was the effectiveness of launch partners. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I sure have. The dialogue on the launch partners chat has become quite superficial. A lot of the chat messages are simply social messages, which is far from the original intention of launch partners. If we go back to what launch partners was about, it was about a core group of Niken leaders resuming a role and a responsibility to take ownership of their business and for the region, to support at the very least a monthly event. That was the goal for 2018, to support a monthly event that you'll see in this plan is still there, and the need for that continues. But it went from that type of information, that type of dialogue, that type of commitment to a very loosey-goosey experience. Some of the last Power A team calls consisted of people just plugging in from their home to be spectators, and that is not the objective of 2019. There is no room for spectating in my calendar this year, and I believe Ben concurs. We want to be really on point with how we manage our time, and hopefully you'll take the same lead as to how you invest your time. And it's kind of interesting because I had an opportunity to experience something toward the end of the year with Suzanne Steele, who put me together with a group of hers. We first did the call. Well, before we did that, we did a call where we drew out her group and started looking at what kind of a strategy we could apply, which we refer to as a month-end strategy or a month-end stretch, to help move these people who are in the business at some rank, or new to the business, or just simply guests or prospects, to the next level, so that something could take place with respect to helping Suzanne achieve her goal. And when all was said and done, what was very apparent in this drawing was that there were a lot of signups who had not yet actually made a committed decision to do anything. There were virtually no pack orders. In fact, I don't think there was any pack orders. Just a lot of direct distributors who were at various stages of the game. Some had been in a while, some were not in very long, but none of them had made the decision to go from being just a consultant to being a partner. And if you recall, many of my trainings talk about this. The most missed presentation of all presentations in Niken since I've been alive in Niken is the last presentation, the most important presentation for a real decision to be made. And that's the what conversation. So to address that, we are developing a presentation. It's already halfway done, but it'll be done this month and implemented, because it is the conversation that is most lacking in, and in all fairness, if you are a prospect, the thing that you want to know before you actually make a committed decision is what's expected of you and what can you expect in return. That's only fair. And that would be the same as if I was going for a job interview. I would want to know what's expected of me and what can I expect in return. And so that type of a conversation within the context of Niken rarely occurs, or if it does, it doesn't have any formal presentation associated with it, and therefore it's not being utilized as a staple in the process. Hence, the Power A call, which is the lock-in event, is not being funded or fueled by prospects who are at that stage where that event would actually matter. And so it's a breakdown in the process, it's a breakdown in the system. So we identified that, and by the way, we did have such a call with these guests, many of the guests on her list here, and as a result of that, I don't know, Suzanne, I can't see if you're on the call right now, but as a result of that, a number of people actually went ahead and made the decision and ordered packs. Some even ordered 2 packs. So that was a clear reveal. Did I hear yes?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And so, Suzanne, that demonstrated to you and to me and to, of course, the process, that the process works if the process is completed. Now, Ben, you also have something that happened recently with respect to this.
This month-end stretch, really important month of being December for people that want to qualify for Team Kaizen. And I was working with Ruth Lowe, who I hope she doesn't mind me sharing her experience. She's in HBM right now in San Diego, so she can't be with us on the call. She was 11,000 points down from qualifying for Team Kaizen the Saturday before New Year's Day. So we're talking 4 days. And her and I were speaking together. She reached out to me because she had seen that Kim and I had been top PGV qualifiers in the month of November and wanted to know what we'd done to do that and could she apply anything there to get her to Team Kaizen. So we got really focused for those next few days and were in constant communication during that process. And I'm thrilled to say she got 11,000 points worth of sales, either from people in her team or to her own customers. But she crossed that line triumphant by the 1st of January and qualified. Of course, no official announcements come until the 15th, but looks like she qualified for Team Kaizen in that final stretch. And it always seems to be, in my experience, that final stretch is where most of the work gets done. I was joking about it with Mike when I was at university, and I'm sure for many of the university graduates on the call today, how many of your assignments were done within the last couple of days before the deadline? It often works that way. We did that in our education. We seem to do it now. But yeah, that final stretch strategy to get you across the line, to get that rank advancement in, to qualify for that incentive, miracles can happen in a matter of days when you get super focused and highly accountable to it. And Ruth is just absolutely over the moon, ecstatic, thrilled that she achieved her goal and that it got done. And a lot of work went in, but it just shows what can happen with those types of calls and that type of attention.
So with that in mind, and of course that is one of the key elements, that month-end stretch, to a person who's actually going after a goal and has done a lot of the preliminary work whereby you've got something to work with at the end of the month. So that being said, there is a process that works. It has been identified. It has been taught. There's nothing new on this page. It's simply the application of it that is being missed, I guess, in some way or another. So what we wanted to do was turn our time in. Yes, go ahead, Ben.
Sorry. I just want to clarify something on this month-end stretch, because people are at different stages of their business and their business life cycle on this call and throughout the Niken environment. A month-end stretch doesn't necessarily mean that you might be stretching for a rank advancement or for a qualification for an incentive. It might be, for example, I'm a diamond and I'm currently being paid as a platinum. My goal is to get back into qualification, but that's not going to happen in a single month. That might happen over the period of a few months or over the course of a year. But I might have a target, a goal to qualify in my own mind, where my goal is to get an extra 10,000 points in volume this month so that I can build on that for next month and build on that for the month after to get there in the end. Whatever your stretch is, it can be personalized and tailored to your own personal business needs. That is the beauty of it. But we've got to be focused on our business needs and reach for and stretch for that on a monthly basis to get there.
Perfect. So in review, in hindsight of all of the activities leading up to where we're at today, and again, with some of the announcements and some of the movements that have been taking place, like the influences of the Hispanic group moving into North America, et cetera, we thought that the best use of our time in our business is where we remove generalities. My experience in Econ has always been when something is a generality, it always lowers itself to the lowest common denominator. An example I've already stated on this call was when you let people loose on a WhatsApp chat, what will happen is conversations will go down to the level of meaningless chatter. And what's unfortunate is that it's not being acknowledged or recognized by the perpetrator, because they're forcing everybody on that chat to listen to stuff that's meaningless, which causes them to close their ears and then become disengaged from the chat. So the chat becomes ineffective. So if we allow that to happen, if we allow the bar to keep being lowered, then the effectiveness of the activity diminishes to the point where it's ineffective. So there has to be a level of accountability. And the only way to make something accountable in this business and duplicatable simultaneously is to be accountable to a system. That's the only thing we can actually teach, duplicate, and hold people accountable to is the idea of a system, because the system works. If the system has been proven to work, and it has, then if it's applied, it will work for whoever's applying it. So it's a matter of then holding some form of accountability where the system is concerned. Well, if we combine that concept with what Niken has put together over the last couple of years, which I think is the best business plan we've ever had from Niken, to distinguish it from a compensation plan. A compensation plan is not a business plan. Compensation plan just tells you how much you get paid for whatever. But a business plan is, what do I have to do to qualify for those various stages of compensation? And so the business plan, which is the incentive program, I think is formidable, and I think has not been addressed adequately, but given the results. So what we decided to do was to create an accountability, a group, if you will, of accountability in a very specific way, a meaningful way. And it's the Power Start team. Basically, in order to be eligible to participate in this mentoring and support program, a person has to achieve the Power Start, which if you understand what it is, by the way, the incentive program for 2019 is now in your back office. If you log in, you'll see it. What's missing is details for Team Kaizen. That's coming later this month, at which point we will be publishing this again through Life and Balance Tools. And I hope you get tons of copies of this, because this is going to become a very, very important tool for your business. And you don't want to just simply have an electronic format. You want it in people's hands. So the Power Start team, again, then consists of people who have achieved the Power Start, which means they've done it in the first 30 days of business. That's how you do it. A Power Start is anyone who creates 1,500 points volume only. That's the requirement now. There's no other additional requirements. 1,500 points volume within their first 30 days, and they achieve Power Start. The benefit is they get their $99 Niken rewards, which is basically paying for their admission. Now, that makes them eligible to engage in this program. Or, conversely, if it's the sponsor of somebody who's done a Power Start, then they too are eligible to be part of this 30-day only mentoring program. So it's not a year-long thing. It's not an indefinite thing, and it's not going to be a generality. It's specifically a 30-day experience that can be repeated every 30 days, so long as someone has hit the Power Start. So either you sponsor somebody, most of you in this call is what this would apply to. You sponsor someone who does a Power Start, you and them can plug in. And then, of course, anybody who does the Power Start and has somebody do a Power Start, they can keep looping through this. So what is exactly this that they're plugging into? What's the benefit of this mentoring and support program? Well, as you see on the chart, this chart very clearly defines that there is a process for taking a person who knows absolutely nothing about Niken to a point where they are sufficiently informed. We call 100% informed right here up at the top, and they are thereby pronounced a partner. What's the distinction between a partner and a consultant? And the answer is, a consultant is anybody who puts in $99 and registers. Regardless of what they do after that, it's usually unstructured and uncommitted. Whereas a partner is somebody who's invested time, money, and contacts, meaning they've made their list, they've ordered their packs, and they've assigned a certain amount of time in order to launch their business over the next 3 months. And to provide them with a platform to do so and a strategy to do so with an end in mind. That's what the Power Start Team Mentoring and Support Program is. It's for those people who are on the launch pad. And how do you get on the launch pad? Become a new Power Start Team incentive winner, or sponsor someone who becomes a Power Start incentive winner. Now, if it's only 1,500 points required, clearly that tells us that a combination of packs as an initial investment in their business would achieve that end in mind. And of course, that's going to be emphasized in the curriculum that we are going to talk about in a minute through our strategy, is to inform them as to how they can achieve Power Start. A very quick and efficient way for their business would be to invest in their business through the packs. So this will give the emphasis in that third conversation. Now, what conversation of what does it take? That's what the what is. What does it take to become a partner and effectively launch my business? And what can I expect as a return? That's the message that's going to come in that third presentation. And therefore, we expect more people to plug in as partners and become members of this support program. Here over the right-hand side, it redefines for us the why conversation is the idea of contacting, inviting. That's the information that somebody new to the business needs in order to be able to effectively get people into the process. In addition, there's ABC follow-up calls. Usually doesn't end with just simply one conversation. Then we move to the actual presentation part of this, where it's a weekly rhythm where they learn the how, which is through the thing we call the wellness preview. It's an overview of the business and the products, and the what, which is a strategy session in which they will have a review of the launch plan and what it takes to succeed. So those two pieces of information on a weekly basis will result in people making decisions, consultants or partner. After which, the monthly rhythm is simply the backstop. It's the piece in the puzzle where it ensures that we catch everybody before the month is out who's on the fence. As well as it helps reinforce those who have made a decision to really make it a committed decision to launch their business. That's why we have a lock-in event. That's why it was designed the way it was designed, and why the stories are always, tell me what you would do if you had your first month to do over again. That's why we ask that question, because somebody who's sitting on the fence or somebody who's just made a decision to launch their business and still may be hesitant mentally and emotionally gets to hear from successful people what they would do if they had their first 30 days to do over again. And of course, what do you think the message is going to be? They would launch their business. They would invest their time and their money and their contacts immediately. So that being reinforced results in people getting on the launch pad, which means in the next iteration, which could be the next week or the next month, that person is now getting out of the gate and doing the work that's necessary for them to advance. So let's take a look at, and by the way, what was also mentioned by Ben was the month-end stretch. Toward the end of that person's month, when they are launching, that's when they're going to need a little bit personal strategy in order to convert whatever they've got going into a result. And it's during the month-end stretch, they're going to learn things like incentives that you can offer customers and incentives that you can offer would-be business partners to get them to engage immediately. That's essentially what it's about. That's how you create 11,000 points in volume in a matter of days out of what appears to be thin air. Well, it's not out of thin air. It's working with what you got and creating the reason for people to jump in now. Now, to support this concept, what we have is we have two forms of calls. We have calls that are open, calls to anyone in the Niken family who is engaged in the business. They're weekly wellness preview calls, which will overview the products and the opportunity. We're going to make sure we have at least one that we know is happening. For those of you who are currently hosting, or those of you who are considering hosting, the more the better. Typically, the best ratio of wellness previews to a strategy call is 3-to-1. Ideally, we'd have multiple wellness previews happening, which would create that overview of the products and opportunity, and subsequently an invite to the next call. The next call is the weekly strategy and orientation session, in which we're going to overview the launch strategy and the return on investment. This is where they're going to see that graphic above, and they're also going to see what happens in 90 days if we play this out with respect to a return on investment. That's why they're going to say, oh, that's why I invest my time, money, and contacts. And from that point, they can make a committed decision. There will also be, to support those who've made a decision, a weekly mentoring call. That's the call that Ben typically hosts on Tuesday. However, the focus will be on business building for the monthly goals. Of course, for those who are currently engaged in a monthly goal. So it won't be a generality, guys. It won't be how can we entertain you this week's session? It will be business. Focus on results. And so the more people you have on that call, especially new people, they're going to win. They're going to get the benefit of a powerful A helping coach that person into the right action. There will also be the monthly Power A Team call, like I mentioned earlier. So those of you who are hosting a monthly event, please feel free to invite us to be plugged into your event so that you can have a local lock-in event to help those people in your business that are engaged in this process. There will also be a different type of call schedule for those who are PST members. PST is short for Power Start Team members. And they will be daily prospect follow-up calls. So we will be providing them with access to a group chat. Again, it's a 30-day process. So they're going to get 30 days on a WhatsApp chat where they are engaged with the Power A Team. Power A Team means those diamonds and royal diamonds who are supporting this activity with their time and their energy. So imagine now you have your best prospects or your best new PST members, and they've got access to the best people in ECAN to be an A. So that's the daily prospect follow-up calls. There will also be the weekly team alignment meeting, which is the one that I do on Monday nights. This will be accountability on activities and checking alignment. Essentially, it's sort of the welcome call. If you've got somebody who's just become a member of the Power Start that you want to have them get involved in this program, this will be sort of the orientation to that program, getting them aligned with the schedule of activities, getting them aligned with some of the concepts, the tools, things like that. So it's an alignment call to align them to this system so that they've heard it again, but now they're actually at the point mentally where they're engaging. And you hear things differently when your feet are in than when your feet are out of the situation. So they need to hear it from the point of view of somebody who's in the business, committing to this, and what that looks like. So the alignment call will be about that. Then, of course, there'll be the month-end stretch. Ben, did you have a comment?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I'm mindful that from a time zone perspective, yours is on a Monday night on Eastern time, and there'll be people that will participate that might be in Europe, for example. So I will host a separate call that will accommodate a European schedule so that there is no one, regardless of time zones, that is left out or neglected. So don't worry about that. We'll take care of that. Great.
And the month-end stretch call will be something that there is not a specific date because the month-end will vary. And so that'll be announced to the Power Start team members to plug in when it's assigned. And so that'll be on a monthly basis. That will be where they get to hear, understand, learn. So if you're the sponsor, somebody who just become a Power Start member and they're on this launch, they're going to see strategy in action. They're going to actually see how that now 11,000 points in 4 days is an exaggeration for the most part because it's applicable to a platinum. But to somebody brand spanking new who may be going for Entrepreneurs Club, which is the mission. I think I failed to mention that. It is the mission of this 30-day Power Start team to achieve Entrepreneurs Club. So first, price of admission is you have to be a Power Start incentive winner. And then that's the price of admission. And then the focus of this campaign is to help them achieve Entrepreneurs Club, which, by the way, as you all know, that would make them a silver with pretty good amount of volume and a pretty good paycheck. So that's why we're doing this. It's so that we can help people get on the runway and take off properly and avoid some of the things that happen when there are gaps in the information process. So that month-end stretch will be exclusive to those who are in the PST program for that 30 days. So again, here's a review at the bottom here, Power Start Team 30-day membership. This document I will circulate as soon as this call ends on the Launch Partners chat. We'll talk about that in a moment. So number one, do a Power Start or recruit a Power Starter. You get 4 weeks of support beginning immediately. You can join successive times by recruiting more Power Starters. The purpose is to get people doing Entrepreneurs Club, and we help them with the ABCs and one-on-one coaching. They can connect with us and other members of the Power A team via exclusive WhatsApp chat group. And as a sort of a corollary to that, a focus on the Power Start as a building block makes the Entrepreneurs Club more attainable sooner. Thus, committed consultants can readily advance to silver with a goal for gold in 3 months. How would that be nice as a regular habit? Instead of people thinking they got 3 months to go silver, that's way too long, way too long. Right now in Latin America, they have 4 months to achieve everything that those of us who qualified for Team Kaizen had a whole year to do. I believe it's easier to get it done in 4 months than it is to do it in a whole year. And I'm telling you from 28, 27 years experience at that you give people more time, it's harder to do. Shorten the curve. You've heard me teach this when it comes to silvers. Giving them 3 months to attain silver is difficult. You can't keep people focused for 3 months. For 3 weeks, maybe. For 3 days, for sure. But the longer it is, the harder it is. So we're talking about collapsing time and setting standards that I believe are the kind of standards we need to be setting for a company to go into momentum. And in order to be sure that there's no abuse of the system, there will be a call log maintained. So each of us hosting the call will be monitoring a single page that will be handled on Google Documents for who's in attendance on that call. So we will know when that person's time is up and whether or not they should be getting back on. And we will also have cooperation from NICAN to give us information about who qualified for the Power Start incentive that month or that day or that week. So that's the program. Any questions?
You may want to unmute your line if you've got a question, or of course use the chat if you wish. Just sorry, someone's got a question by the sound of it.
Yeah, it's Madeline. I have a question. Dave Rolfe has been doing, you talked about there would be Royal Diamonds, so he's been doing whatever. And now Jeff was announced as a chancellor, and he has 2 weeks of scheduled whatever. So is this going to be connected to that? Is Dave going to be one of the Power A people that are going to be on this chat? Who else is there besides the two of you?
We know Susan Carver is, Bernadette McBurney.
Okay.
And, Dave Rolfe has given us sort of a green light that he would like to plug in, and his schedule is flexible to accommodate. So we haven't had that conversation as to how that integrates, but that's a very likely.
And Igor, he's been on a couple of our Thursday night calls.
Yeah, well, he will certainly be given an invitation as well to plug in. What we want, obviously, are people who are in the right position, who are capable and engaged. So it's really important that what we contribute to the lives of these newbies is credibility.
So is it for what? No, because everything was just announced. This is in alignment with Jeff in this new role of training.
Well, we don't go that route.
No. So this is
Jeff's training is Jeff's training.
Okay.
what he's doing, which is more of the HBM scenario.
But he also listed that he's going to be doing network marketing training and some kind of a
sure,
so
I'm sure whatever network marketing training he does will be useful.
okay.
Yeah, it'll be very complimentary, and we're already in communication with the office to make sure that there's no conflict of schedules or calendars or anything like that. What we don't want is to have competing agendas or programs. There will always be, and I've said this, I think, ever since I've been in the field, which is coming up 3 years now. But there will always be different leaders having different ways and styles of doing their thing. That is one of the benefits. It's not a disadvantage. It's one of the benefits of network marketing that we promote, that everyone has the chance to become their own boss. Yeah. Which means there is no one singular boss in the field. Yeah. That doesn't work that way.
We know that.
Yeah. So
I can tell you, Luis Kasuga's aware of this.
Yeah. So the office is aware. Other leaders are getting definitely more involved in the process as well. Everyone that is willing and able, those are two very key words. Willing and able, we want to participate and be inclusive. So that's not a problem. Connie's asking a question, is it a calendar month or 4 weeks? It's 4 weeks. I want to highlight this point because it's a really good question that Connie asks. What we have found through experience is that indefinite programs or very long-term programs are both demotivating and become unproductive. They don't get or yield the right outcome, both emotionally I should say, or in results. So what we want to do is have a short, focused attention of time on very tangible, reachable, attainable goals. The Entrepreneurs Club being a key target, getting someone to silver and doing that in a very good short time frame. So that means that you're on the program as a power starter for 4 weeks, and then you're off. That's it. It's not an annual event or an experience. You're in for 4 weeks, and then you're out. What does that mean? It means that it's Friday today. If I signed someone up today and they joined as a power starter, then Mike's Monday night call that he has with aligning them and embracing them and introducing them to the program, they would join that on Monday. They'd be right in. And then they'd be in it for 4 weeks. Now, it doesn't mean that they're out then for the rest of the year. Hopefully, within that 4 week period, they sign someone up in their pursuit of an entrepreneur club that becomes a power starter, which means they're in again.
Well, Kim, a lot of us have talked, after our calls when there haven't been people there, and that's it. We talk about 3 times 3 and duplicating, and it's the duplication that hasn't happened. So that what you just said, I think, is critical. So having an ending, and if you don't have another one, then that's the incentive to go find the next person who's going to do the same thing.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to. And the nice thing is, it's achievable. We shared that example with Ruth. Like Mike said, it's a platinum getting 11,000 points in 4 days is not going to be your typical experience. But a brand new person can get 6,030. Yeah. If they've got that focus, if they've got that right coaching, if they've got the right attention, if they're being trained with the right things to do. Because this is what we've found as well, using that example that Mike used earlier, is people often join, and this, by the way, I think everyone will relate to this experience that I share that's on the call today. But it's not unique to you or to me or to Nikan. It's an industry thing, and I can share this from my perspective, having sat on the association councils for the DSA for the UK and Europe, that there are far too many people that join network marketing companies and do nothing. They sign the dotted line, they sign the agreement, and then don't even place an order for a product, let alone sign someone up. But the difference is, it's not that they're uncommitted. They were committed because they signed the paper. They just weren't necessarily informed or educated. They weren't given the whole story in the recruitment process. So with us helping to give that full perspective, we help you then in that recruiting experience to get the maximum value out of your new recruits and help them start strong. That gives them a good experience, it gives you a better experience, and it helps people get, to achieving their goals, winning incentives, and achieving more far quicker. So we both feel very strongly that this is going to be a very positive experience for people that deliberately want to work their business. And that's the key thing, that they're going to have to do the work. So when people join the calls and say, I want to do it, I want to get 6,000 points, we're going to have to, everyone that wants that to do the Entrepreneur Club, they're going to have to dig deep. On those calls that I had with Ruth, how badly does she want it? What are you willing to do to get there? What incentives are you going to dangle to get people to say yes and take action right now to get your result? Do you want it bad enough? We can't go into business building with timidity. Well, what's that old proverb? If a trumpet shall sound uncertainly, who shall prepare himself for the battle? Yeah? We can't sound our trumpet with uncertainty. Otherwise, no one will prepare. We need to let our sound be loud and clear. And that's what these messages and this training, this coaching is going to do for everyone.
Suzanne, you had your finger up, right? Do you have a comment or a question? She's frozen, so I guess she's got to.
I have a question. You said you were working on PowerPoint. So when you talked about the 2 different kinds of events in a week, so the better way that some of us have been doing, that's like the first look, and then the second one is going to be that second team. So are those being modified, that 31? And
we want to modify the better way. We want to simplify a little bit. I think that's important to have some simplicity there. But the business preview that will be hosted on a weekly basis, like Mike said, we want to get a regular time slot, but ideally, if there are other people that are hosting it, we want to get that on the calendar too, because it is good to have live business presentations. In my experience, the recorded ones are great if I want to get my own voice clear in my head for when I'm doing the presentation to my prospects. I want to hear what other people are saying. I want to hear the tone and timbre of their message and get their language and go, okay, that phrase is nice. I'm going to use that and adapt it so I can give my own. Yeah. It never really replaces the live presentation. So we want to get some live presentations in there. So that will be adapted, but it will always be important for us to be able to have the flexibility and freedom to personalize that message in the way that we feel works for our prospects. Yeah, I think that's really, really critical. I would stress as well, as we're looking at the weekly strategy call and the business preview, that we are looking deliberately at female representatives here. You've got Mike and I on these calls that we've talked about, but what is very important to us is to represent our audience well and get a balance in gender equality in the messages that are being delivered and the power A's that are available to represent your prospects' needs and demands. So please keep that in mind, that we want to get a right selection of people, both in age and gender and experience to meet the needs of the team. So any other messages or questions? Okay, excellent. I've just got a
with respect to yes,
could I ask a question? Then so Mike, your Monday night calls then they're strictly going to be for this new presentation style? Is that
it's for power, the Monday night call is for those members of the power start.
Okay.
Yeah. Just another quick testimonial that's come in. We don't have time to share it today, but maybe I will make my next Tuesday call a focus on this, if you don't mind, Sherry Danzig. I did just get a message in. This is another testimony of a power stretch, last month-end stretch for achieving goals. In the final hours of December, Sherry Danzig made Team Kaizen Paragon, and Entrepreneurs Club. So when someone is committed and when they believe in themselves and they know they can get it done no matter what, when they've got that kind of focus and that determination, it is remarkable what can happen. So Sherry, my hat is off to you. My British flat cap here, which I've just been using on my cold English night's walk, is off to you right now. Wonderful news that you've got there. Fantastic, fantastic result. I'm thrilled. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, so Mike, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, okay, so when does this all get started? Right, there's some calendar dates that have to be implemented, and until that actually officially happens, I will run my Monday night call as usual, but it will be an opportunity for me to inform whoever's on it, as well as to when to our motive operandi. Also, with respect to launch partners, the WhatsApp chat, Ben and I have discussed maybe even just changing the name of it to something that's more appropriate for what it has become, which is maybe Niken Team Builders. So I'm not sure. I didn't think through that, and it might affect how you guys search or find something. But I think a simple name change is easy for me to do on the WhatsApp chat. I'll have a little bit more of a conversation with Ben on that, so that it becomes more of what it's become, which is a community, on a chat community for people who are building their Niken business. And I have a call coming in from Niken. I'm not sure if that's
okay. Well,
pertaining to the question that was asked. Give me 1 second.
Okay, no worries. Well, while he mutes himself there, let me just reiterate, on Tuesday, for my regular Tuesday call, I'm going to do another summary of this program so that we can all be clear. It's always good to hear it maybe in a second voice and to hear it outlined. I'll have a couple of slides here to make it nice and simple. But I want to highlight some key benefits that I see that I've made note of for this call, for this process that we're introducing here. Indefinite programs are demotivating and unproductive. This is quite the opposite. A 30-day short, sharp burst of very focused activity. You can join anytime. In fact, you could join today if you wished by signing up someone that does a power start. And you can sign up and join and be a part of it as many times in the year as you wish. And think of the power to your business if you were in it consistently throughout 2019, where your business would go. The mentoring and coaching focuses on fundamentals and specifics. Again, remember, when we deal with generalities, we rarely see success. When we deal with specifics, we rarely see a failure. Yeah, so keep that in mind. We're going to be in the specifics on getting to entrepreneurs clubs and helping people achieve those goals. It's not going to be a burdensome schedule of calls. We are adapting the current format of calls and repurposing them with a greater focus on priorities. So this is going to be much more better and conducive to your needs, your results that you want to see come out in your business. So we're not going to be burdensome on your time at all. And again, it's going to focus on activities, incentives, advancement, and achievement. So there's going to be an awful lot of celebrating and recognition coming out of this. When we talk about accountability, we've got to recognize that one of the primary ways we hold people accountable in network marketing is celebration. Yeah, we don't focus on the deficit. We focus on all the good stuff that gets done, and we celebrate people into success. That's the way it works. So this is going to be a fun experience, an enjoyable journey, and it's going to focus on great results. So please share this with other people in your teams when the recording is out. Like Mike said, we're going to put together a little PDF that you'll be able to download that will have the format and the explanation on one side and the time schedules and the dates and the ways of connecting on the other. So you'll have the calendar moving forward there. Again, the goal is not to clash or compete. It's to complement, enhance, and enrich. And so that's going to be a very inclusive program here that's going to be very supportive of your goals moving into 2019. So if your goal is to grow, if your goal is to help others grow, if you want to get that duplication, as Madeline talked about, then this Power Start team and this format is going to be a great blessing to your business for this year. So thank you all very much. And again, any questions that you've got, fire them into us, let us know. And please, let's use the Launch Partners chat over the next 24 hours to share your thoughts for those that missed this call on what you think of the new format. Let us know. Give us your feedback, because your feedback, of course, is very, very important to us. So thank you all very much. And hopefully this is music to your ears, along with all of the wonderful news that the NICAN office has shared already with a new president, a new global VP of training, or chancellor of NICAN University. I love that new title that Jeff has now. And of course, a new director of sales coming our way very soon as well. So very, very exciting news that we've got here with a great, bright future for all of us. So great, exciting times. Wonderful time to be in NICAN. Let's see what the future holds. We'll speak to you soon. Take care.